How many of you are in sales? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3. 3 people. All right, 4. All right, great. So, your name, sir. Richard, do you have a sales and marketing department?
Do I?
Yes. Okay. Does anybody in here have a sales and marketing department? You have a sales and marketing department. For your company or for you?
Me.
For you. Oh, so you have a representative that posts your resume and networks for you and goes on your job interviews and negotiates your salary for you, right?
That's me.
Aha. Good answer. All right. So he wins. I don't have a prize, sorry. So, from one salesperson to another, I have 25 years of sales experience, and I'm here to tell you, every single one of you in here needs to raise your hand when I ask the next question. All right? So I just gave you the answer to the question. How many of you are in sales? That's right, every single one of you. Because unless you have a proxy or a representative that goes on the job interviews for you and negotiates your salary, you have to negotiate your salary. You are in sales. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. I bet you thought you were here to talk about salary negotiation. I'm going to teach you how to sell yourself in the negotiation. Are you ready? Okay, first thing you need to do, start with the end in mind. By the way, I have a handout, so you can take notes on some of this, but I'd really like you to listen instead. Outcomes. You need to have some thought and critical thinking around outcomes, plural. Not just for you, but what the hiring manager is looking for. What do they want? What are they looking for? Put yourself in their shoes for just a minute. Because if you can gain some perspective into what they want and need, then you can prepare for what's called objections during the negotiation. Because you're selling yourself, you have to be prepared to hear some objections. And if you don't think like the hiring manager at that company, you're not going to know what their objections are. Okay? Number 2, deal breaker. You must have a deal breaker. In fact, you need to have 3 numbers before you go into a negotiation. 1 is your deal breaker. 2 is what you'd really like to make. And 3 is your pie in the sky. I had this conversation with a woman yesterday, client of mine. She says, I currently make $115,000 a year, but I'm willing to make $70,000 a year in my next job. And I said, really? She goes, yes. And I said, so you're willing to take a $45,000 cut in pay? She says, yes, I'm that unhappy. And I said, okay, you don't want to tell your future employer that you'll take $70,000 a year, but we'll get to that. But you need to have a deal breaker. This is the absolute number you are willing to get up and walk away from the negotiation for, okay? Then you need to have the next number, which is the amount you really need to make or want to make, and then your next number up from that, which is your pie in the sky. So I'm a fast talker, so write fast. Number 3, research. You should have done your research. You should know what this company is looking for. You should have an idea what the salary scale is for this job. You do not answer the question when they ask you what your salary requirements are with, I don't know, what are you paying? I have no idea what a job like this pays. Wrong. Do not do that. Do not do that. You give your power away. You do not have a leveraged position when you do that. You need to know before you even apply for that position. Okay, now, how do you prepare for a salary negotiation? You have to have the mindset of a winner. This is psychology, folks. Sales is psychology. When you sell yourself, you have to have confidence, number 1. And if you are in a salary negotiation, guess what? They picked you out of the hundreds of candidates, so you should be confident, darn it. You better own it. Your chest better be out and your shoulders back and your head held high because you know what? You won. They picked you. Number 2, association. Now, what does this mean? Aha. How many of you think or fear negotiating because you don't think you're good at it? Show of hands. Yeah. Guess what? Have you ever had a conversation with your spouse about where to go to dinner on Friday night? That's a negotiation. Have you ever had a conversation with your child because they wanted something and you didn't want to give it to them? That was a negotiation. You guys know how to negotiate. So you need to change what you're associating negotiation with. Think of a time when you negotiated something successfully with your spouse or your child and you both came out winners. That's how you get back into a positive association with what you're making negotiation mean. Next, reframing your perception. Perceptions are crazy. what is it? Our perception is our reality regardless of its validity. Not really true, but you know, it is. It is true. So I want you to reframe what you make salary negotiation mean. Here's what that means. Raise your hand if you have a kid. Keep your hand up if you have a teenager. Keep your hand up if you have a teenage daughter. Keep your hand up if you have a teenage daughter that you would label as stubborn. Okay, in the back, sales guy. Tell me, when your daughter is being stubborn, how does that make you feel when she's being stubborn towards you?
Frustrated.
Aha, frustrated. Now, would you classify frustrated as a positive or a negative emotion?
Most negative.
Mostly negative. Yeah, same here. Everybody agree, right? Okay, let me reframe that for you. Can you think of a time, tell me your name.
Rick.
Rick, can you think of a time when being stubborn as a teenage female might serve her?
Yes.
Aha, yes. You see what I did there? That's called reframing. We just reframed his perception about a negative emotion and made it a positive. You can do the same thing about negotiating. It's called reframing. He said that if she's being stubborn towards him, he's frustrated. That's a negative. And we reframed it into a positive because I asked him if he could think of a time when her being stubborn would serve her and be good for her. And he said yes. So that's what reframing is. Everybody follow? Awesome. Okay, so the mindset of a winner is to reframe what you make negotiating mean. It means you are going to get a job. That's what you need to make it mean. And you're going to have a paycheck. Yay, celebrate. All right, the last thing about being in the mindset of a winner is collaboration. When you go into that negotiation, don't look at it as an us and them. You need to look at this as an opportunity to co-create a fabulous relationship that is going to set the tone for a career path. That's what a negotiation is. All right, now let's move on to going into the negotiation and establishing rapport. Has anybody in here negotiated a salary in person? I didn't think so. How about over the phone? Yeah, you bet. An email? Okay, I'm going to strongly discourage you from trying to negotiate via email or text. Here's why. This form of communication is sterile. Whereas over the phone, you get what? Tone of voice. Who said that? Yes, ma'am. Tone of voice. Yes, you get tone of voice. Now, we all know that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's tone of voice. Now, tone is made up of several factors. There's volume, which I have a very loud voice, right? There's inflection. There's pitch, how high or how low it is. There's the words you use, the vocabulary. There's also timbre, which is the emotional aspect of our voice. There's the rhythm. And tempo, the speed. I'm talking very fast. 20 minutes is going to tick by really quick. And I want to give you guys as much as I can in 20 minutes. So negotiate over the phone. Here's why. We have these things in our brains called mirror neurons. Anybody ever hear those? Mirror neurons lead to empathy. So when you mirror someone's tone of voice, you know what it does? It connects you to their limbic brain. The limbic brain is the part of the brain that is in control of emotions. So when you connect to someone's limbic brain with your tone of voice by mirroring their tone, they subconsciously now start to like you for some reason, and they don't know why. Mirror neurons lead to empathy. When somebody has empathy for you, they like you. When they like you, they trust you. When they trust you, they're more likely to give you what you want. So when you ask for a higher salary, for some reason, they're just going to find that they're not going to be able to resist you because you've connected to them through their limbic brain. If you doubt this, neuroscience is your friend. Read about it. There is proof that this exists. This is a tactic that you can use to your benefit. All right, let's move on to tactics. Ha-ha. So you must expect that the hiring manager is going to use tactics when you negotiate. Here's the things that you can listen for that many of you have probably already heard. The first thing they say to you is, or the recruiter says, what? Can you please tell me what your salary requirements are or what your salary was? That's a tactic. That does not mean the negotiation is over. That is the very first objection, which means the negotiation has just begun. In sales, Rick, the sale doesn't start, selling doesn't start until you get the first objection, right?
Correct.
That's right. You are learning how to sell yourself in the negotiation because guess what? You get to set the price tag on what's of value up here between your brain or between your ears in your brain, not them. You get to put your worth and value on what's up here. Okay, next tactic that you can expect from a hiring manager, this is a fair offer. Anybody ever hear that before? This is a fair offer. That's a tactic. When somebody says that, I don't want you to laugh in their face, but you can laugh to yourself and say, oh, Wendy said that was a tactic they'd use. Sure enough, it's just a tactic. That means the salary negotiation has just begun. The fun has just started. The next tactic that they might use is, oh, that's too much. We've never paid that much to anybody. We've never offered that much to anybody. I'm not anybody, sister. You've never offered that job to me. And let me tell you why I'm worth it. That's when the negotiation begins. If you've done your research, and if you have learned how to sell yourself, you know what you have to offer, and you can sell it in the negotiation. Next tactic you can expect is, oh, that's inequitable. Nobody here makes that much money. Not my problem. If you want me, if you want what's up here, we'll figure out how to get close. Maybe not match, but close. Lastly is, oh, well, we don't negotiate. Everything's negotiable, people. Everything. Maybe not the salary, but you know what I have on this handout? I have a list of at least 15 things that you can negotiate, not just the salary. And some of those things they will be more than happy to give you that won't cost them a thing. And it could be really valuable to you. All right, now let's talk about the tactics that you can use. This is the funnest part of the presentation, and this is on these handouts. I have 4 killer tactics that I have used, every single one of them, and they work incredibly. Number 1, you get them to say yes 3 times. I did this masterfully, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. It was so cool. You get them, if you've done your research, you can ask 2 questions that you know without a shadow of a doubt that the answer is yes. And you ask those questions, and you get them to say yes 2 times. And then what do? You ask them about your salary increase. And because you've connected with them, and because you've paced them, and because you've connected with their limbic brain, they like you so much they can't help themselves, and they just say yes. It's magical. I did it the first time I did it, and I was like, oh my God, that was so cool. It works. All right, the next one is probably my absolute favorite, but I caution you. This is only for the seasoned people, or if you've worked with me, if I've coached you, you can do this. And I will help you. But you don't do this if you're a novice, but it does work. It's called the flinch. The flinch. Now, this one you can do in person. Tough to do over the phone, but you can do it. The flinch works. When you physically recoil, if you're on a Skype call, you can use the flinch. If you recoil, if your brow furrows, if you sit back and you cross your arms, that sends a very powerful message. And I've used this, and people are almost apologetic. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll talk to the boss." I'm just like, I'm biting my tongue, trying not to laugh, because it works. Okay, now if you're going to do this over the phone, thank you. You have to have some sort of like a guttural reaction. I'm telling you, this is not for the novice. But if you're interested, I can help you with this. Okay, tactic number 3, the deferral. This one works great. This is also known as the committee. You know what? That's a good verbal response. Man, you know what? That is not quite what my family and I need, but I'll tell you what. Let me talk to my wife. Or I need to talk to my husband. Or you know what? I really need to have a conversation with my family. I'm just not sure about this. That's the deferment. Deferring leads to tactic number 4, which is buying time. When you can buy time, you maintain control of the situation, and it shows that you're interested. You haven't closed the door, but you've made them really want you more now. And they are willing, if they really want you, they will match you. I've had 2 clients in the past 2 weeks used these tactics and they got exactly what they wanted. All right, wrapping up. What you can negotiate. Oop, I'm going to pass this around now. Everybody grab one. And what you can negotiate is on one of these sides, as well as those 4 tactics and the mindset of a winner.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. You can negotiate more than salary. You can negotiate having them pay for coaching. You can negotiate additional time off. You can negotiate more sick time. You can negotiate flex time. You can negotiate coming in at 10 o'clock in the morning so you can drop your kid off at school and not be in Austin rush hour traffic. You can negotiate tons of other things that may have more value to you, and the company won't think twice to give it to you. And then lastly, in wrapping up, remember these things. Always get an offer in writing. Always, always, always. Number 2, throughout the negotiation, always be polite, be confident. Really step into and own your greatness because you got the offer. And then maintain enthusiasm. People love to hire people that are exciting and enthusiastic about a job. But remember this, if there's only one thing you take away from this, when you counter offer and ask for what you want, which number 1, ask, but number 2, when you ask, shut your mouth. Do not say another word, because we all know that he who speaks first in a negotiation loses. Always ask and then zip it. I have had salespeople talk their customer into this beautiful piece of whatever it was they were buying, and then the guy just kept on talking and he talked him right out of the sale. Then he kept talking and he talked him right back into it, and then he kept talking and he talked him right out of it, and then they left. And I'm like, dude, you ask and shut your mouth. Ask and shut your mouth. Let them answer.